Okay. Okay, so we are going to get started just in the in respect for time. I don't want to take up too much of your time this evening, and I appreciate you all joining us. So let's get started. Just to give you guys a background, my name is Leah Solodokin. I am part of Project NaTaN, and we recently met up as part of the committee to figure out how we can better serve our community and what types of resources might be helpful for people these days. And when I say people, I mean everyone in our community. And so we thought maybe we could kind of do a COVID-centric speaking series where we can have different types of unique events that will focus on different targetable points for COVID. So the first one of the series is tonight's session, where we'll be having a Zoom tutorial. The second one, which is on December 20th, will be for relaxation techniques, and that's going to be led by Donna and Barbara. And so both of them will be talking about, from their perspective in social work, a couple of the techniques that they use often that a lot of people have success with. So I highly recommend that. And then we are going to have a session at some point, hopefully next month, that covers different COVID resources and things to keep in mind for people who might need more communal services during this time. So more information will be released on that as soon as we have that for you. So without any further ado, I wanted to get started. So just to kind of give a layout of what we'll be talking about tonight. So I will start out by introducing everyone to Zoom through your main zoom.us sign-in. So in order for you guys to have accessed Zoom, did you go to the main Zoom portal on zoom.us? So I think that Miriam is nodding her head yes.
I mean, I just clicked. I don't know what I'm doing. I just clicked.
Okay, no problem.
So on the link.
Oh, yes. So you guys clicked on the link. Did you ever sign up for a Zoom account?
No.
Okay. Yakova and Seth, how about you guys?
No.
Yes.
So Seth, you have?
Yeah.
I have.
Okay, fine. So let me walk you through the process. I will show you how to do that and how to get a free account, because anyone can get a free account, which enables you to have a free 40-minute session. And this is just like a 40-minute session at any given time. You can reschedule it however often you'd like. Sometimes our employers or different institutions that we work with will sometimes offer their own Zoom accounts that have licenses for unlimited periods of time and for a specific number of people in the audience. But for private use, you can sign up for a free account. So we'll go through that. And then after that, I have a short slide presentation that goes into more specifics as to how to use your actual Zoom screen when you are, let's say, either a host of a meeting or a participant of a meeting. Okay. So what I'm going to do is start by sharing my screen, and I will go through later how to share your screen. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so do you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, now, in order for you to get a free Zoom account, you're going to go to zoom.us. And then what you will do is, I'm already actually signed in, so let me go ahead and sign out, and I will show you what I do. And over here, you're going to do sign up. It's free. On the top right-hand corner is where you would press. and then you will go through the sign up template. You'll put in your birthday, you will answer all of those questions, and then in that manner, just record your username and password so that when you do sign in, that is the username and password that you will use. Okay, so after tonight's session, you can go ahead and try that out. Now, does anyone have any questions on that?
I think that, you know, since a few months ago, I think Zoom changed their policy that people who get a free account, I don't think there can be they don't enable phone calls anymore. Is that correct?
So I think that in order to use the telephone option, you need the paid account. You can, without the paid account, you could just have video calling. You are right.
Do you hear me?
I hear you, Joyce. Hi.
Yes,
Joyce.
hi there. Okay, I have a question. I've never had much of a problem using Zoom, but I myself have never been the person who starts the Zoom. So what is it that going through all of this and this information that we have to give, what are we getting from it?
You mean when I'm going through this?
Right, having to go through with a password and all of that. I've never had to do that for Zoom, but I myself have never started a Zoom program.
So by signing up for an account, that's a great question. Joyce is asking, like, what is the benefit of signing up for a Zoom account? So by signing up for a Zoom account, it will enable you to schedule a meeting if you wanted to meet with anyone, and then you can send them an invitation to join your Zoom meeting. I don't believe that you necessarily need a Zoom account in order to access a meeting. So just like Miriam said that she has never signed up for a Zoom account, as long as you just click that button, it will open up your Zoom meeting for you. You don't necessarily have to sign up for an account, but doing so will allow you to be a little bit more, I guess, have more experience with using Zoom. So then if you did have to set up a meeting, even if it was just for fun, you can do so. So this is really to empower you to use Zoom to a fuller capacity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and sign into my Zoom account. I'm signing in through my work account. So I'm going through in a different way. Just so you'll know, like if I were to use this sign in, then I would just be signing in with what's called SSO, which enables you to sign in with like a work account or an organizational account. So that's how I'm signing in tonight. Okay. All right, so welcome to your main Zoom portal. You can access everything through this account. So I'm going to walk you through different things. Now, I would like for this to be, it's more of an introductory meeting. There's a lot of different capabilities that you can do on Zoom, and I will walk you through the things that I think would probably be the most important for you to use probably on a more basic level. And if you have any additional questions or if you think you'll be interested in an additional Zoom tutorial, I'd be happy to do something later on. Okay, so let's just get started.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, what you can do if you were, for instance, interested in the different plans for Zoom and you wanted to upgrade your account, you can very easily do so by accessing this website by just clicking on the pricing and options. And as you can see here, there are various different types of Zoom programs. They could get pretty pricey. So I think usually the basic option is pretty helpful. You get unlimited one-to-one meetings, 40-minute maximum per meeting, and you can host up to 100 people. And if you need to do it for more than 40 minutes, you can always send out another invite. The other options are helpful if you think you're going to need longer periods of time. But this is where you can sign up for it and purchase it. Okay, now going back, this main page is your profile. So on the left-hand side, you'll see profile. And anytime that you see an edit button, so over here, for instance, you can see an edit button. This will enable you to edit anything that you have in your personal section. So you can have your name, you can change your picture. I actually don't have a picture on my Zoom, but why this would be helpful is if for some reason you don't necessarily want to show your video, like Joyce, for instance, tonight is not showing her video. If you wanted to have a picture of yourself or of something that you like show, instead of just your name, you can go ahead and change that over here. So you'll just upload a picture from your files. Select it, and then if you wanted to go ahead and save that, you can do that. You can also change any of your personal information here as well. Now, everyone is given this personal meeting ID. And if you wanted to share this personal meeting ID with anyone, you can. So this is mine. So if I wanted to just like give you my meeting ID, where you can just click on that at any time and we can jump on a call, even without making a scheduled appointment, that's what you would use that for. Then you have your email. If you are ever curious, once you do sign up for an account regarding what type of licensure you have, you can see it here. So through my employer, I have the ability to see 300 participants on my Zoom account for any individual meeting that I host. My primary language is English, and you can edit that here. And then you have your more specifics in terms of your timing and the format of the timing. And then you can actually configure your Zoom to different types of calendars, whether you use Google Calendar, Microsoft Exchange, or Microsoft Office. So when we go through how to set up a meeting a little bit later on, I will show you how you can actually make that calendar invite regardless of the type of calendar that you have. And so this kind of syncs with your different accounts. I have a host key, and so do you. Every person has a host key that you can actually change. And so if you wanted, let's say, for instance, you were planning a meeting. Like for instance, tonight, Carol Schauer from YIB, she scheduled our meeting tonight. And because she scheduled it, she was technically considered the host. Now, in order for me to get full host permissions and be able to control different options on our meeting, I needed to enter a host key. So in order to do that, Carol shared her host key with me, so then I would take over the host access. So that's when the host key would come into play. Okay, that's really all that's on your profile.
Oh. If you wanted to change either the background, or sometimes I see that there might be some things in their menu. Let's say you want to change the background to look like you're in Hawaii or whatever, and even or you can even have your cover here with the Hawaii as the background, or just Hawaii. Can you explain that?
100%. I will go through how to change your backgrounds. That comes just a little bit later.
Okay.
Perfect question. Thank you. So let's go through any other questions, though, as it pertains to the profile. We're okay. All right. So now on the left-hand side, underneath profile, you see meetings. Now, this is where you're going to be able to change a whole bunch of options. And so actually, settings is where you'll be able to change a bunch of options, but the meetings, you can access all of your different meetings that you've had. So whether you have upcoming meetings, like for instance, I have different meetings that are scheduled here, and I have the ability to start the meeting because this is today's meeting that goes until 8 p.m. I can edit the time, I can make edits to any, so if I press just edit this occurrence, I can edit the topic, I can edit the time frame, the duration, and we'll go through, once again, how to schedule a meeting. This is just some aspects that I can edit once I do have a meeting, and we'll go through all of those together. So that's something that you can just make sure you keep an eye out for by looking at your upcoming meetings. But a lot of times when you make a meeting, it does get synced up with your online calendar so that if you prefer to have everything on your calendar, it comes up right then and there. So you don't necessarily need to look at your upcoming meetings in this manner. It's just another option. You can also look at your previously scheduled meetings. And so these are all of the all of my previously scheduled meetings that I myself have hosted. And then you remember I was telling you about my personal meeting ID? So everyone has a personal meeting ID. This was what I showed you before. And so if I were to say, okay, Yakova, I'm not going to make a Zoom meeting appointment. Let me just share my link with you. When you click on that link, you will automatically be connected to my own Zoom conference room. And so you don't necessarily always need an appointment, but you can by saying that I want to, let's say, add this personal meeting room information onto either a Google Calendar, Outlook Calendar, or Yahoo. Now, if you take a look at this Outlook calendar, let's say you don't have Google, you don't have Yahoo, you don't have Outlook. If you have, let's say, something from an Apple family, you can still click on this Outlook calendar. This is what's called an ICS file, and it's compatible with multiple different types of calendars. So this could always be your best option. And so if I wanted to just send someone my personal meeting room information, I can click on Google Calendar. I'm going to sign in. So this is secure and Zoom knows that this is mine. And once again, this now gives you your Zoom calendar invite just for your personal meeting room. So it doesn't give you a specific schedule, right? I haven't necessarily made a time frame. This is a live link accessible at any particular time. And so I could make changes to the title, to the time, to the date. And then down here is where you will see all of the Zoom information. So this is the link that you can click on. This is the meeting ID if you were to call in. But once again, the call in is usually the paid option. This is the passcode. And then if I wanted to invite someone, I can add the guest names here. And then give permissions for the guests to invite others, see the guest list and whatnot. Okay, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Good. And then that's really all that I think would be important about this personal meeting room. So let's go back. I think that's all that I wanted to share in the meeting section. Now, webinars we're not going to talk about today. Recordings, also on the left-hand side. Now, So if you had if you have a free version of Zoom, you can record your meetings, but the recording will be saved onto your hard drive of your computer. And so I'm going to click on, and that's considered local recordings. And so once I'll show you how to record a meeting a little bit later on. And once you've recorded it, you will get a notification that your Zoom meeting is ready to be viewed or ready to be shared. And you can also double check as to the status of that meeting, whether it's done and all ready to be sent out by looking at your local recordings. So what happens is, like, let's say tomorrow or later tonight, once we have ended our meeting, because Carol Schauer was the one who hosted this meeting, and this meeting is recorded, she's going to get notification in her email saying, okay, your Zoom meeting from 12/1 at 5 p.m. it has been recorded and is ready to be shared. And so if I wanted to, let's say, open up one of these meetings, I can, or I can also delete it. And by opening up the meeting, I will have the ability to view what that meeting was. So I can open it. I'm not going to do it now because I actually don't want to ruin our call just in case, but this is how you would do so. And if you have the paid version of Zoom, you are also able to save on what we call the Zoom cloud. Now, for those of you who might have certain Apple products, you might be familiar with this word cloud, or if you're familiar with just a shared drive, how everything is usually shared onto a cloud, you might be familiar with that term as well. But if not, I guess the most simplistic way that I like to understand the cloud is just some sort of nebulous area that all of these virtual documents or recordings are stored. And so I think everyone on who is signed up for Zoom paid has like a certain limit for how many gigabytes of memory they are able to share, or able to save on their individual Zoom cloud. But this just makes it a little bit easier to save on the cloud if you can, because it allows you to share just a link, which makes it so easy, because the link is just a website. I don't see it here, but let's see if I could. Sharing information, let me see. Okay, so if you take a look at here, this is actually what my link that I send to you will look like tomorrow. So you're going to see a link that looks just like this, and when you click on it, it will open up the Zoom recording of tonight's meeting, just with a link, and it's not taking up any of my memory on my computer. Okay, and you can get pretty nifty here with your search categories with how you want to look for a certain recorded meeting, but this is basically your library of recorded meetings. Okay, questions so far? We're okay. All right. So
Actually, how safe is the cloud?
So for personal things that are not sensitive matters, I think that it is perfectly fine. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's foolproof, that it can't be hacked or compromised in any way, because I think that everything probably can, even though I'm sure that they have different types of protections. In terms of its encryption, I don't know how, what level of encryption it has, but for like medical things or HIPAA compliance, I don't think that Zoom is HIPAA compliant. Okay. But in terms, and so I think for that reason, certain providers are choosing to use other types of virtual platforms. But for personal matters, Zoom would be fine to use. But of course, like if you are doing work on Zoom for an employer, I think it's always useful to just see what your institution's policy is about virtual protocols. Good question. Okay, so settings. This is gonna be where you can make things much more personalized, and we can go through several different options. There are different things from a basic to advanced level, but I'll point out the most important things, at least for this point. So in terms of security, so this is to going to Yakova's point, you know, how do you make sure that your Zoom meeting is secure and that no one is, you know, just logging into your Zoom meeting and just listening in? So you have the ability to create what's called a waiting room. So tonight, I did not have a waiting room. I just had everyone join at any point, even if I was not there yet. But if you wanted to have everyone wait in their own personal virtual waiting portal, you can do that. And then when you log in, you are able to see who is waiting for entry. So if any of you have been part of the YIB board meeting, so if any of you are attending tomorrow night, the board meeting has a waiting room enabled. And so the what we do is on a person-to-person basis, we will take a look at who's in the waiting room and grant them permissions to enter. So if you wanted to get a closer look at who's there and only then allow them to join, you can do that. So my settings is that everyone will go into the waiting room if I wanted, if I enabled that option. For new meetings, I have it set that everyone should be required to put in a passcode. And then this is the passcode that's generated in the meeting invite. Same thing for instant meetings on like for my own personal Zoom conference room. And I also have the ability to change my personal meeting ID for the passcode. If I wanted to change it to any number that I liked, I can do that too. So Zoom is very good with individualizing different things. And this is just some more passcode information. Whatever you have highlighted in blue means that it is on. If it's grayed out, it means that it's deactivated. So for instance, I do not have this activated, that only authenticated users can join my meetings. I have it that anyone can join meetings. So it doesn't have to be necessarily someone who only has Zoom. Okay. Now, and when you schedule, we are going to get into scheduling a meeting, how to do that. When you do schedule a meeting, you have the ability to make changes. So you could choose to have your video go on as soon as you log into the meeting. You also can set your preferences to have your participants' video go on as soon as they join the meeting. Now, there are pluses and minuses to having that set up. So a plus could be that you want to encourage participation in your conferences and you want to be able to see your participants. So let's go ahead and make sure everyone's video is on automatically. But the downside is that not everyone is always ready to go on video as soon as they log in. So by deactivating this, you could give them more time to just get themselves settled before they actually start the video. It's really up to your own preference. In terms of audio type, because this is the account that I have set up with my employer, it's the paid account, so I have the option of allowing people to join by both telephone and computer audio. So Seth, this is to your point. If you guys have a free account, then you will only be able to enable the computer audio. So right now I have this deactivated, allow participants to join before host. I should probably have this activated because I always activate it anyway. So I'm going to change that now. And even, by the way, if you don't have this activated in your settings, you can always activate it individually for the meeting that you are planning once you schedule a meeting. This, by changing things here, it just resets your defaults to something that you want instead of having to individually change it on a case-by-case basis. So this allows you guys, like the participants, to click on the link and join the meeting even before the host does not get there. So you can probably, so by doing that, even the participants can start talking even without the host present, as opposed to them being in a waiting room first and waiting for the host to accept them into the meeting room. They also have certain things that you can get desktop reminders for an upcoming meeting. So once you sign up for a Zoom account, if you take a look over here on my bottom taskbar, you see a picture of it's kind of like a blue square with a video camera. And so sometimes, so you can make this part of your desktop and you can get desktop reminders of upcoming Zoom meetings that you have. I don't currently have that because all of my Zoom meetings are part of my calendar. So because of that, it's just deactivated for me. And I get calendar invites or reminders. So for me, it would just be like overload of the reminders. Okay. So let's see over here. Now, this is regarding meeting basics. So it's under in meeting basics. Over here, this, by having the chat enabled, this will, when you schedule a meeting, it will enable your participants to chat with each other. So I'm going to, let's say, let me do something now. So everyone should have gotten a pop-up chat that says sending chat. Yep. So what I was able to do this because Carol's account, when she scheduled this meeting, had this chat ability enabled. And so what you guys can do right now is chat with one another. If you didn't have that enabled, no one would be able to chat. And in some cases, that's absolutely fine. Like if you're having a meeting with 300 people, you might not want everyone to be using the chat box so much because it's a lot of alerts. But in certain meetings, you might. So it all depends. This private chat over here enables individual chats. So if I wanted to send Joyce a message, or if I wanted to send Miriam a message individually, I can do that. Just a forewarning, when Zoom meetings are recorded, all of the chat transcripts, even private chats, are accessible to the host. So this sometimes comes back to bite people, and people don't realize that their private messages are really not private. So always be careful with what you write in those private messages, especially if the meeting is recorded, because the host can still see what everyone is writing. Okay. So
this is lousy.
Exactly. So I've spoken to some educators, and they said that during their class, some of their students were complaining about like the person who's giving the lecture, or you know, cursing on Zoom, which should never happen, but you know, these kids do that. So sometimes this could be a very useful reminder to the participants, be careful what you say because we can see everything. And in some ways it can serve as a scare tactic. In other ways, it can just make maybe people more afraid of what they're writing, because then they know everyone is looking at it. At the end, the host can look at it. Now, how often the host actually monitors the chat might not be very often anyway, but it's just something to keep in mind. You can also save your chats, which can sometimes be helpful if you want to record certain questions that people have and come back to it later. You see this section over here, it says co-host. Now, a co-host, I'm considered the host of this meeting, so I can make a lot of different changes. Now, a co-host has the ability to do everything that the host can do. So I currently am able to share my screen, but because everyone else in this meeting is just considered a participant, you are not able to share your screen. So even though on the bottom of your screen, if you start moving your mouse, you see that center button that's green that says share screen. If you try to click on that, you won't have the ability to share your screen. It will say the host has disabled your permissions. Do you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Miriam and Joyce, how are you doing? Are you following along?
Yeah, I'm good.
It's a lot to take in.
I know. Can I answer any questions?
Sure.
Anything? No, not right now. No.
Not right now? Okay, well, let me know if anything pops up, okay?
Okay.
So right now I have my permission set that as the host, I could make other people the host, the co-host. So that would just enable me to maybe say, okay, Joyce, I want you to share your screen. So I'm giving you permissions. And just like the host can give permissions, they can also take away permissions. So it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you always have to give someone a co-host position. Now, polling, not very relevant for now, but Zoom has this unique capability of allowing the host to ask polling questions during the meeting. So by enabling this, you allow yourself to do that. And then screen sharing. So once again, this is under in meeting basic. Screen sharing, when you activate it, enables you to share your screen. If you have this disabled, I'm not going to do that right now because I can't share my screen, but if you did have this disabled, you would not be able to share your screen even as a host. So over here, if you noticed, right now I only have it set that the host can share the screen. I could change it to all participants. If let's say I'm working with a group and everyone is participating, it doesn't matter to me. I can have everyone share their screen because everyone needs to be participating. But sometimes that's not always the case. So if you want to be the only one to share it, then you can just make yourself the person to share. And then as the host of the meeting, if something happens that you want to have someone else share their screen, then you can make them the co-host. And once again, you can only do that if this part is activated.
Where do you type in the name to make them the co-host?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to show you how to do that when I go to my slide set.
Okay.
But basically, you don't have to type in anything. If you go to on the bottom portion of your screen, you should see a button that says participants. And that's how you do it. And we'll go through that in more detail. Good question. Now, Zoom has a really cool capability. It's called a whiteboard. Now, this might not always be so applicable to everyone, but just like I shared my screen now, so right now you are seeing the internet page that I'm on. I also have the ability to share a whiteboard that I can draw on. So this is sometimes helpful for tutoring, or for just being more artistic and you want to show something to your group of people. So if I wanted to, and I'll show you how to go ahead and share it a little bit later and how to access the whiteboard. Okay, good. I'm going to skip a whole, some of these things because those are not relevant right now. Then you have in meeting advanced. We're not really going to focus on this, but if anyone has any particular questions after, please let me know. What this section allows you to do is make breakout rooms. So if you know that you're going to have a larger group that you want to create mini Zoom conference rooms, you can do that.
Leah,
Yeah.
How easy is it? Yakova and I were at a some Jewish learning thing a couple of weeks ago, and participants, not necessarily the host, but even the participants had difficulty entering the breakout room and entering the breakout rooms. And if the young Israel did something like that from one of their learning things, we might want to do that. Can you provide, not necessarily not necessarily from a setup person, but from a user person, how easy is it to do the breakouts?
Sure. So, you know, it's a good question. I think that once you are in a breakout room, it really, like, you can probably set it up in a way that will allow the people in the breakout rooms to switch between breakout rooms. And it sounds like that might have been something that you guys did. And sometimes it's just I could probably share some screenshots with you afterward and share that in my PowerPoint after our meeting, if that's something that's of interest. But essentially, it's just a matter of pressing that right button to exit your room and enter a different room. But I can show you what to do, no problem. This does have the ability for closed captioning, if that's something that is of interest, and language interpretation. Now, Seth had asked about virtual backgrounds. So virtual backgrounds are within In Meeting Advanced, and you can select any one of these. You can also probably add more. And then if I were to select this one, that's why you have to do manage virtual backgrounds. And then I would be able to choose one, upload it, and then that will change my background. So we could even do that now. If I wanted, I don't know why it's not opening. Okay, I'm not sure why. I'm gonna do this in a different setting. Let me just X out of that. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do this in the actual video setting a little bit later. But as long as you have this activated, it will enable you to change your virtual background in the meeting. That's the main goal.
Leah, what does it says this can be used without a green screen? What does that mean?
Oh, so right now I'm in my home and you see the background, right? Now the green screen typically just enables, like they use that a lot in movies in order to allow for any type of background to be inserted wherever it sees green. So what Zoom does is that it doesn't matter if you don't need a specific color in the background to allow an image to be overlaid in the back. You can have any image, regardless of your background, show up.
Sometimes it seems that when people like move, like
yeah,
it makes like the palm trees shake. It gives a weird effect.
Yes, exactly. So sometimes I think it's just that digitalized background that, because once again, I think that background is trying to hide your background, that your real background.
Right.
So what's happening is that the camera is seeing me, and any space outside of me is going to be the background, like any one of these. It can be San Francisco. So if I move, then it just takes the computer a second to fill that gap in.
Right.
But I know it's not always so pretty. I personally don't have backgrounds, but I do have a colleague that uses a blurred background, which I actually like better, because I don't think that you get as distracted. But that's an option. I think some of these backgrounds are pretty cool though. You can get really creative. And then you can also have some video filters, which they have a lot of like kid related filters with different masks and things like that. So you can have that turned on to give you that ability to change it. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, so over here in email notification, if you have this checked off, you can have an email notification sent to you when your cloud recording is available. Now, granted, if you don't have a paid version, this is not going to be applicable because then you won't have access to cloud. But just in case you do, you can have that enabled. You can also be notified with an email when your attendees are in your conference room. So for instance, when I have my meetings, whenever someone joins in, I get notification that someone is there. So it just tells me, okay, I better hurry up with what I'm doing because I need to enter that room because someone is in there. You can also get notified when a meeting is canceled, when you're removed from a meeting, a couple of other things. And then it gives you some more specifications for your invitation email that if you wanted to take a look at, you can. And that is pretty much it from the settings. It's a lot. Questions about the settings?
I think we have to play with them.
I know that you do have to just play around with it in order to get familiar, but this is a good, just like the first time overview of what you'll probably be seeing. Okay. Any other questions though? Okay, so now what I want to do, I think we're done. We don't have to go through account profile or reports, but if you take a look at the top right bar, you see that you can have the ability to schedule a meeting, join a meeting, or host a meeting. So we're going to start with schedule a meeting. So Seth, this is what you were talking about. I'm going to schedule a meeting. So here I can change, oh, I have to just wait until that. So I'm going to do test meeting. Okay, so I can change my topic. And then I can put a description. Join if you'd like. And then if I want, I could change around the time. So right now it always schedules it for you as a default to the closest half hour of that day. But I can change it if I wanted to schedule my meeting for tomorrow at, we'll do, let's say 6 p.m. tomorrow. And I wanted to make it 1 hour in duration. I can do that. Now just know that if you have an unpaid version of Zoom, this is going to be a 40-minute max. So I don't remember I think that even the unpaid version allows you to schedule it for like maybe as a default, to schedule it to an hour, but just know that you'll be cut off at 40 minutes. If you have the paid version, then you can schedule it for however many hours you would like. And the nice thing about it is that even if I schedule this meeting for tomorrow evening for 1 hour, and it so happens to be that I need longer than 1 hour, Zoom will not kick me off. I will still be able to have access to that meeting, especially as the host. So as the host, I have the ability to start a meeting and I have the ability to end the meeting. And I'm in full control of when I want to meet. So even this just it helps you out with scheduling so that when you make this, you can have an idea of how long this meeting should take. And then even if it does take longer, you'll be fine because you'll have that open room. Now, you also have the ability to make this a recurrent meeting. So let's say you wanted to meet with family every Sunday for dinner. I can say that I want to make this weekly and I want to repeat every 1 week on a Sunday, and I can make it end by X number of days or X number of occurrences or by a certain day if I wanted to, but I don't have to.
Leah, does Zoom automatically send out the invitation or?
No. So I'm going to go through how to invite people. That's a great question. You remember when I showed you how to send the personal meeting meeting room link, and I showed you the Google Calendar? That's exactly what we're going to be doing, but I'll show it to you in this format. Good question. And so here, my meeting ID is going to be generated automatically. Doesn't matter to me whether or not I use my personal ID. I just have it generated automatically. And then the passcode. So if you have it set up that everyone needs a passcode to enter, you'll have it there. If I wanted to create a waiting room, I can also make that here. And then only when I decide that I want someone to enter the room, I can do that. And then over here, so you remember when we went into settings, I went through the default settings and I was able to decide for my default that I didn't want people to automatically have their videos on. So here, this is where you see it. If I changed my default and I said, yes, I want everyone to have their videos, including the host, it would have been on and on. But I can always change it on an individual basis. So if I say, yes, I want everyone's video on from the get-go, so no one has to worry about putting on their video, I can do that here. In terms of audio, I can also dictate how I want people to log in, telephone, computer, or both. Remember, there's a difference between the paid and the free. So the paid, it will be both, but the free is only computer audio. And then you can change your meeting options. So you can allow people to join in at any time. You can also allow cause them to be mute upon entry so that no one is making noise, because sometimes that can be disturbing to a meeting. You can have them require authentications. You can also play around with breakout rooms, but we're not going to talk about that right now. Automatically record the meeting. So when Carol actually planned this meeting, we agreed that we were going to automatically record the meeting so that I would not have to worry about doing the recording. Okay, good. So, and then I could approve or block entry to users from specific regions or countries. So if for some reason, like, let's say you're making this really huge event and it's really popular, you're having like, I don't know, you're having Donald Trump come on and you don't want people from certain parts of the world to join this meeting, you just want people from the United States, you can probably just click on this and then you can specify what countries you want people to not be able to join from. But usually you don't do that. And that's it. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this meeting.
If you, it says alternate host on the bottom. Well, can you explain that?
Yeah. What was it?
On the page, I don't think you checked it off. The last line said alternate hosts.
Oh, yeah. So that's a good point. So alternative hosts. So if I wanted to say, okay, Seth, I'm going to make you a host as well, I can put in your email address here. And you will, I believe, I've never tried this before, but you should get host access, whether it be with like the host key is sent to you, or if you will just be given automatic host permissions.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So then you're going to save that meeting, and voila, my meeting is now scheduled. So this is how you're going to now, this is what you're going to see. So you'll see your topic, any description that you had. It's scheduled for tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You have the meeting ID. You have waiting room enabled. You have the invite link. It says here, the host and participants' videos are automatically going to be turned on upon entry, and allow participants to join at any time. So now it's time to go ahead and invite people. So I'm going to use my Google Calendar, but once again, you can use anything. The Outlook calendar, if you have any other calendar that's not Google, Outlook, or Yahoo, that Outlook calendar invite, this ICS, is compatible with like Apple products and any other type of calendar. So I'm going to sign into Google to authenticate myself. And here you'll see that this is the title of our meeting. We set it for 1 hour, so it automatically feeds into Google for December 2nd from 6 to 7 p.m. And it gives you the meeting information. So it gives us our meeting link, the information that you need for calling in. And over here, it enables you to invite guests. So I can add any guest that I would like. And here you have all of the guests on your list, and you can change your guest permissions, and then you're done. You can save it, and then that will automatically send the invite to these people. And then you're going to have it on your calendar. So if I just, I'm not going to send it to anyone right now, but if I save it, then over here, you will see that I have my test meeting on my calendar.
Leah, is there a way to let the guests know, give them a reminder, like tomorrow you have a meeting at 6 o'clock for the test meeting?
So they will get notification. So let's say I'm going to, I want to send this to myself. I'll show you. You mean like a reminder once they accept it on their calendar?
Yep.
So usually that's going to be based on your own calendar invite specifications. You can schedule reminders for yourself for that calendar invite.
Okay.
But that would have to be like an individual, like if you wanted to usually you'll get you'll get a reminder about 15 minutes before a meeting.
Okay.
But if you wanted to schedule reminders for yourself even before 15 minutes, you'd probably just have to make that change on your own. So like, for instance, let me see here. So now this is on my schedule. If I wanted to say,
more actions?
Where are you seeing that?
Next to save, yeah, right there. Nope. I can just search it later, maybe.
Yeah, there definitely is a way for you to get more reminders, but I'm not exactly sure where it is on this.
It's okay. I don't want you to take people's time. It's okay.
Okay. I'm sorry that I can't find it right now, but there should be a way for you to do that. Oh, add notification. There you go.
Okay, I see it.
So I can do it for 15 minutes. I can do it also for 15 hours, weeks, days. There you go.
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. So going back to our scheduled meeting, that's really it. If you want to now, instead of sending it out through one of these email providers, you just wanted to copy the invitation and maybe just send it in an email. I can do that. I'm going to press this over here, copy invitation. And this is the exact same thing that you saw on the calendar invite. So I'm going to copy this meeting invitation. It copies everything. And if I just wanted to, go on to my Gmail and create my own email, I can do that and just send it, not even as a calendar reminder, but just as an email. So I will compose when I can, if I can. Okay, but you kind of like get the ability, you get the idea of like what you can do to just like copy and paste it, and it will essentially be the same. So here's like, maybe I'll give you an example. There you go. So here is an example. Just paste it here. You can write your message, send it to whomever you'd like, title it, and that's it. This just
that's what I do most of the time.
Yeah, and so it just won't be tied into a calendar. And I know personally I like it to be tied to a calendar, and so if you wanted it to be tied to a calendar, you'd probably want to make it through one of these. And if you don't have any one of them, then go through the Outlook calendar and it will be linked to whatever email provider you're using usually. Okay, make sense? Questions?
It's a lot of information, but it's very helpful.
Thank you for your thumbs up. Look at you. All right, good. So you also have the ability to join a meeting. So let's say, tomorrow comes or like today you have a meeting and you didn't actually get a meeting invite, but someone gives you the meeting ID or their personal meeting link. Like you remember in the beginning of the session, I shared with you my personal meeting link. So I can put that here, join, and even without an invite, I can join a meeting. And then host a meeting is basically what we're doing now. Okay, good. So we only have about 20, I would probably say 15 minutes at this point. So I created this Zoom PowerPoint that I thought might be helpful for us to go through. Oh, I didn't mean that. Okay, so because I cannot share with you my actual Zoom screen, even when I share my screen, you won't be able to see the bottom taskbar. That's why I put all of this on a PowerPoint so I can show it to you. So when you see Zoom, you will be able to see these bottom tabs. So let's walk through this. On the left hand, and you will be able to see the same thing if you just move around your mouse and look at the bottom. So on the bottom, you will see something that looks like a microphone. And given that you guys are able to talk, this microphone will not have a red line in it. But if you click on that red line, you will be able to mute yourself. So does everyone want to practice muting themselves?
I know how to do that.
Nope.
Yeah, you can do it. So that's fine.
Okay, Yakova, you muted yourself. Miriam, are you familiar with how to do that?
Yeah, I know how to do that.
Okay, you do. Okay, good. So, all right. And then you have the video screen that will also enable you to either allow your video to display, or if you hit it and there is a red line over there, you will not have your video display any longer. You then, as the participants, you might not see this aspect. It's called security. Does anyone see this security?
Not below, but on your screen, I do.
Yes, so you can only see that as a host. So I will show you that afterward. Then you also see these stick figures. It says participants. If you click on that, you should see a taskbar that shows up on the right-hand side of your screen that lists all of the participants. Now, going back to the bottom toolbar, you will see next to the participants, you have a small text box. If you click on that, now you should see something also that comes up to the right-hand side of your screen on the second, on like the bottom half of your participant screen, that enables you to chat. And in the middle of your screen, you have a green shared button, which has an arrow up, share with everyone. And to the right of that, do you have a record button?
Yes.
Okay, so only the host will have recording permissions unless you are given permissions to record as well. So even if you try to record, it will probably not allow you to. And then if you have closed captioning, I don't think, do you guys see a breakout room option?
No.
Okay, yeah. As a host, you can have that. And then do you see an emoji, like a smiley face with a plus sign on the top?
Yeah.
That allows you to do what Seth just did with a thumbs up or smiley face. And then you have a couple of more options with the 3 bars on the bottom right, 3 dots. Okay, now what we're going to do is go into this in more detail. So now what I'm doing is there is an arrow bar, an arrow facing upward right next to that microphone on the bottom left. Mm-hmm. So if you click on that arrow facing up, you're going to get different types of capabilities. And so you will have the ability to determine which microphone you use. And so right now I'm using my internal microphone. Technically, best practice when using Zoom is to use a headset that connects to your computer, and that should optimize the sound quality. And you would just want to make sure that your sound is coming from the right place. You can do that. You can select the microphone's place, and you can also select the speaker. Now, usually whatever is set on default is what you probably want, but if you had any changes, if you, let's say, had an external microphone connected, or if you had a headset, at that point you would want to make sure that you are selecting the correct mic and speaker. Now, what's always good to do when you're entering a meeting is to test your speaker. So you could do that over here under test speaker and microphone. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. And then you'll also have the ability to change your audio settings, and I'll show you what that looks like as well. So once I press test speaker and microphone, it's going to ask you, do you hear a ringtone? You'll hear something, hopefully, and then you'll press yes, but otherwise, if you don't, it will probably prompt you to change your speaker outlet. Next, it will ask you to speak, and then it will replay it for you. and you should be able to hear your whatever you said. And if you don't, it will probably have you change your microphone outlet. Now, there was a, if we just go back over here to audio settings, if I click on the audio settings, I'm going to get this screen. And so if I want, and this is how what you can do, even as a participant now, you can change things for yourself by saying that you want to, you can change your volume of how loud I come out, and you can change your input volume of how loud you might come out to other people. You can also make changes over here by automatically joining by audio instead of computer, muting your microphone when joining a meeting so that no one hears you. And that's really, and you can kind of explore a couple of other options over here, but that's pretty much it for what you would use normally. Now, you would do very similar things with your camera. So right next to that microphone, you had your camera, and you would do, you can decide if you want to choose over here, Seth, is where you would choose your virtual background. And you can choose your video filter with some unique filters that they have to make you look nicer with different costumes and things like that. And then you can also have video settings. So this is what I did earlier, and so you can see how you appear. And so you can change your webcam. So right now I have a webcam that is in my computer, but if I wanted to change it to an external webcam, I could make that change by this drop-down window. I can touch up my appearance. So if you wanted to look nicer, you can always do that, and you can adjust for low lighting. And if you scroll down, you will be able to also change your background on this screen. Video settings on changing virtual backgrounds. And I will make that addition. Okay. I will make that addition when I post these slides. Next up is your security. So if you are the host of the meeting, you can change your security settings to either lock your meeting, make sure no one else attends other than the people that you invite. You can enable a waiting room even after you've set up your meeting. And you can allow participants to share their screens, chat, rename themselves, or unmute themselves. So those are all things that you can change through the security tab when you are the host of the meeting. Okay, moving along, on the right-hand side, if you press, you remember when we pressed participants, you'll see all of the participants. And then if you hover over that participant's name, you will get either the unmute button or mute button if the person is muted or unmuted, and then you'll also get the more button. Now, if you click on that more button, you will have the option to rename yourself. So you can change your name to whatever it is that you'd like. So right now, if you see me under the participants, so I will come up under my English name, Leah Solodokin. But if I wanted to rename myself, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do just that, and I will change my name. And so now you will see that I come up as Leah. So that's exactly what I did. And then I can also add a picture right here. And if you remember, we saw that ability when we were on the main Zoom website under profile. And I had the ability to change my picture there as well. But here's another way. Okay. On the bottom of your participants, you should see an area that has like 3 dots where you on the bottom of the participant, and then when you click those dots, these are other things that you can enable, which is basically the same thing that you saw when you looked at security.
I don't see the 3 dots.
Do you have the chat box enabled also?
Oh, I'm sorry. I do see the 3 dots there on the right-hand side. Yep.
Yes, exactly. Good job. So basically, this is the same thing that you would have the ability to do under security if you were the host.
Leah,
Yes.
if let's say you're not the host, and one of the participants let's say you find that you don't want to hear that particular person for one reason or other. So let's say Miriam would say, oh, I don't want to hear Seth and Yakova for one reason or other. Can she mute me or us?
No. That is a good question. But you cannot. No.
Good question.
Okay, good. All right, and then over here, if you click on this bar, this arrow facing up next to the shared arrow, you can change the ability, if you were the host, you can change how many people are actually going to be able to share their screen. But what if I pressed the main share button? Then I'm going to get this screen. When I'm on this screen, I have the ability to share a few different options. And I just wanted to say, I just have a couple of more minutes before, like just 1 more minute before we have to head off, but I'm going to provide these slides to you. But basically over here, you have the ability to share all of your web pages. So I can flip back and forth as I have during this meeting. And all of my pages will be accessible if I click on it. Or I can just share one screen. So if I just wanted to share this PowerPoint presentation, and then even if I decide to go on another screen while I'm sharing my screen with you, you will not be able to see that. You could do that as well. So these are the options, and I told you about this whiteboard, and the whiteboard will come up right over here, and you will have the ability to click on that and then stop and then kind of make notations on that whiteboard if you'd like. Now to stop sharing, once you do share your screen, you basically have, you see that bar that you currently have on the bottom of our meeting screen with all of the different knickknacks that you can do? Well, that bar just gets moved from the bottom of your screen to the top of the screen when you share your screen. And you will have the ability to make some changes and stop sharing once you're ready to stop sharing in that manner. Okay. Okay, guys. So I actually don't have too many other important points to make. I just had a point about recording the video if you wanted either record on the computer or record on the cloud, and that record on the computer is really the only option that you'll have if you have a free version. And then the next couple of slides are referring to the breakout rooms. So that's all that I have for tonight. I know that that was a lot. I will be making this available for everyone. One final thing that I did want to share with you is I don't have a slide for this, but if you hover over your screen on the top right-hand corner, underneath that X bar, don't X out, there should be something that says View, top right-hand corner. If you press View, you're going to see something that's called Speaker View and Gallery View. So if you have me on Speaker View, I am going to be the main box on your screen. You are only really going to see me as your main box, and then all of the other participants will be on the top. If you change it to Gallery View, you will see all the different boxes for everyone on this meeting at once. Sometimes that's a lot, and not everyone wants to do that. They don't want to focus on anyone else besides for the speaker. So you can always change that by going to view and changing to speaker view. You can also show non-video participants. So Joyce, you are not showing by me because you were not on video, and my settings don't show people who are not on video. But now that I've enabled that, I can see your box. And I can also make this full screen, and will take up my entire screen so I won't see anyone else. All right, guys. That's
Whoa.
all that I have for you today. I know I went over the hour. I just wanted to make sure that I addressed the most important things about Zoom. What questions can I answer?
I have a question about your PowerPoint presentation. So did you open up that file and then share your screen?
Yes, it was already open. So whatever you want to share, you probably want to have open so that it's easily accessible by the time you want to share it.
Can you send the presentation to your participants so that they can look at the?
Oh yeah, I will definitely share them with share it with everyone.
No. What I'm saying is, do I have the ability to share? Like, I guess I could send it as an email.
Yes.
The PowerPoint in advance or something.
Correct. You can also share things in the chat box with your participants if you wanted, but it would have to be like a link to something.
Okay.
Good question. Other questions?
Actually, I have a question. When Rabbi Hellman shares his, like he'll share, the Chumash with us or whatever. Can you tell us how he's doing that or just review that?
Yes.
So what does he share?
He has something on his computer. It's like share screen, and
Oh,
whatever
like from
document
Safari app?
is on. No, yeah, it's whatever it is on his screen, and he's sharing that, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. And sometimes for Mincha Marav, he sends the link in the chat and then people can open it.
Yeah, then you can open it yourself. Okay, that's where it's a link. Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
Good question. Okay. Other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good night.
Thank you. I hope this was helpful.